Thrift Finance is a platform that is building decentralized finance for the sub-Saharan African nations. Now, this is a really interesting play, especially with centralized platforms such as Celsius, FTX, and all these other ones collapsing in 2022. And having a decentralized version of all that provides peer-to-peer lending and everything else around it is very, very appealing. And I have Josiah joining me on this episode to talk all about Thrift Finance, what they're about, what they're developing, and where they're at the moment in terms of developing the project. I'm really interested in following this one and finding out a little bit more. They're also a part of the Genius X Accelerator program as well, so they do have a lot of backing there in terms of support, development, and everything else around it. So let's get into this interview.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.
I have Josiah here joining me from Thrift Finance. It's an interesting take on how to do DeFi and peer-to-peer lending. I'm pretty interested in how this one works just because it is that little bit different. Josiah, welcome to the podcast.
Hello everyone. I'm glad to be here today. Thanks, Peter, for having me.
So I'd love to dig into a little bit about your background and how you got to this point of starting up Thrift Finance and then talking about Thrift Finance as well, exactly what it is. Let's get that little introduction about yourself.
Okay, so initially my journey started from the banking sector in the archivist department. And from there, I forayed into entrepreneurship. I've been there for a while and then founded a company that's dealing with solving local IT problems for businesses here in Africa, specifically in Nigeria here. And then my foray into the field of product management and product innovation. Actually, what led me to Thrift was a problem that started a few years ago because the CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria here in Nigeria, banned the interaction of crypto with the banks in Nigeria here. And then a lot of us that we are leveraging crypto for one reason or the other had to find a way to switch from the banking move our funds from centralized exchanges, which is typically what most was using, and then to the bank, because eventually if you're a trader, for instance, when you make the money, you still need to move it to your bank and actually use it. Outside this, it becomes a problem. And this is what actually led to Binance and other centralized exchanges coming up with P2P and all that to solve this particular problem for their African users. And for me and a group of friends, because I was in a lot of, I've been in crypto for a while, and I was in a lot of African crypto communities and all that. So for us, it was like, what if something happens and there is a need to move from centralized exchanges to a non-custodial solution? It means that if the centralized exchanges don't exist, that means we are cut out. We are in problem. So this is actually led to starting Thrift, to start a non-custodial solution that will solve the problem of payments, savings, and investment, specifically for sub-Saharan African communities, and then other developing nations that might be interested in the solution.
Well, this falls into place quite nicely, really. Like we saw in 2022, Celsius, Voyager, and FTX, all centralized entities, completely crash, and so many people lose their assets from these type of services. So what you're putting together there, is not foolproof, but like the complete alternative to those type of services. So people can still trade, do what they need to do, but without that centralized entity. And I think the timing of it could not be better.
Yeah. I think, funny enough, we started this way before what happened to FTX, and we started it before then. I don't know the timeline of Voyager, but maybe if Voyager haven't happened a year ago, then I think we started it before Voyager as well. But at the end of the day, it's about seeing the possibilities of all this happening in the crypto space, right? And then some of us here that are actually more involved, a lot of us here, as a matter of fact, into crypto day in, day out. And many people here have made it a one way or the other, have eked out a living dealing with crypto and crypto projects and crypto services in one way or the other. So this is a huge number of people that will be cut off in the event of anything, God forbid, because it's okay for centralized exchanges and the other non-custodial solution or decentralized exchanges to coexist for the whole crypto community to function very well. But in the event something happens, then there should be an alternative. And even if something doesn't happen, there is still a market that will be interested in the alternative.
Brilliant. Now, I also like your approach. I had a look over the website and tried to dig into it a little bit deeper. And your approach is purely from the wallet side of things. It seems like we could do everything in terms of DeFi, staking, loaning, whatever it is, but from the wallet interface itself, rather than going to a protocol or website or anything else. Can you explain the user experience for what the customers may experience with Thrift Finance?
So for Thrift, we simplicity is the key if we are to get the right people we are targeting. Okay, if we don't solve the problem of simplicity, then it becomes very difficult to onboard users from underprivileged background or people that do not actually have experience using crypto. A lot of people still have experience using crypto, but they might not really have the necessary technical skill or the carefulness or the security knowledge they need in order to actually secure their assets in the case of a non-custodial solution. So you must come up with a solution that actually puts in the necessary security, but removes the complexity from for the user. And seeing that we're targeting sub-Saharan Africa, this is very, very important. So what a user might actually experience is a wallet that they may be able to log in like a typical fintech app. But then the account is actually a non-custodial account. This is similar to what Agent Wallet did actually, and but in a way a little bit different. What Agent Wallet did was they created a means where people can log in with their email and password, or create an account with their email and password into the wallet, and then your private keys will be served in your device. And these private keys that are saved in the device are equally backed up in your Google Drive account automatically while you are being onboarded into the wallet. Such a way you don't need to actually have to fear in the case if you lose your device or need to restore the app to another device or one thing or the other. So automatically when you want to restore, it will still search for your Google account and still be able to restore it. There's still some little gray areas in terms of this approach, and then the need to secure your Google account in the first place. But most email accounts or Google Drive accounts that have enough required authentication or two-factor authentication are still somewhat secured to a very certain level. So this is actually a practical approach in terms of UI UX.
Okay, that's a very different and interesting approach as well. And I just had to look up that wallet as well. It was an Argent wallet?
Yes, Argent wallet.
Okay, something I'll look into. It's in the Ethereum space, so I don't play around with too many of the different wallets in that ecosystem. But it's always interesting to see what other people are developing and bringing to the ecosystem. And new and more unique user experiences are really, really important, especially what you're explaining then, a user experience, like looking up after your seed phrases. Some people say it's not hard, but really for some users, it's a completely foreign thing, especially when you go to a bank, you open up a bank account, and now you have to look after your seed phrase. It's sometimes too hard for some people. And then knowing if you lose that seed phrase, you lose all your assets. It's a interesting approach. So it's this one with the Google Drive and the Google account and the email there. So there's some sort of recovery process is a very interesting approach, and I kind of like it. So you guys are now building on Cardano. Why was your choice with building on Cardano in general?
So I think first of all, it's the fact that I was in love with the Cardano and the Cardano ecosystem and the values they are bringing forward, and specifically their interest in bringing solutions close to Africa, or targeting solutions that are actually solving African needs. This is actually what got me interested in the Cardano space in the first place. And then as we go on, you imagine how the community and then the project itself interacts, the openness of everything, the transparency and all that, and the technology backing the Cardano blockchain. These are the factors that we'll consider and say why we are going to ultimately build for a wallet that will have to be in other chains as well. Cardano is a very good space for us to start, and we've received support from Cardano as well through Catalyst. So this is something great that is pushing us forward as well.
That's brilliant. Having that initial funding through Catalyst is always a really good starting initial point for any project. But you're also a part of the Genius X accelerator, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, how's that experience for you so far? What are they helping you guys with in terms of putting the project forward or moving it forward?
So Genius X is a great place to be because they provide all these resources that you might not necessarily as a sole entrepreneur or with your small team be able to access. And then they also provide this personnel of vast resource of individuals in terms of their advisory team that you can actually access as a team, and then get first class information from experienced individuals within the industry. So and also the marketing support and all that. So there's a lot of ways Genius X is helping businesses, and they actually follow up with startups to make sure they are in line, and then they are actually doing the work and everything is heading in the direction that it's supposed to go. So Genius X is doing what is actually very important in the Cardano ecosystem, because a lot of projects need the guidance of accelerators in order to deliver the value they've intended. Because many people, let me say, for instance, a lot of people that will come from Catalyst, Project Catalyst, yeah? There will be a lot of projects that will come from Project Catalyst, but they don't have the necessary experience to survive as an entrepreneur in the space, or be able to push forward even when the all factors, because these are things that you see in building a startup. Yeah, there'll be a lot of opposing factors that you need to. So having support from platforms like Genius X make it a little bit easier in order to remove some factors that might be against in making sure that a project goes live or solves or brings the value they intended to bring to their target market.
Brilliant. Okay, so where are you guys now at the moment in terms of design and development of what Thrift Finance is trying to achieve?
So already Thrift have been able to fulfill their capitalist proposal in terms of an MVP wallet based on Cardano with special features. But over time, as we go through, and then I'm from product management and development field. So in building a product, you need to make sure that actually this is viable. It's not that it's awesome to build or it's something that is great to build. You need to make sure that this is something viable. This is something that's targeted the user, and then there is a pain point that to solve a user problem and all that. So these are some of the factors that we considered and needed to change the concept of what we intended to do in the MVP. What we wanted to do originally in the public MVP or the public launch MVP was get this wallet out there and then have users start using it and all that. But this does not solve some of the pain points that we've gathered in terms of interviews, user interviews, and then user feedback that we got from people in sub-Saharan Africa, typically Nigeria. And this is why we are focusing more on P2P payments. And this will be what is expected from Thrift in the nearest term for public launch. And when I mean P2P, I mean non-custodial crypto to fiat P2P payments.
To fiat, right? Gotcha. Okay, it's good that you did focus on actually solving a use case, and and from a product designer point of view, you actually went out there and worked out what the customers wanted, and you're actually solving the solution rather than building something nice that you think they want, and then launching it, then realizing all that time and effort could have been spent elsewhere. So good that you're taking that approach. It's very smart. I've gone down the path of building things myself, thinking that it's the right solution, and then finding out a few months later that you've gone down the wrong path. So congratulations on going down the right path.
It is a harsh reality for a lot of people having to build something and then find out that you haven't actually solved the main problem, because a user might be saying something else, but you need to actually dig deeper to know what is actually the problem behind what the user is saying. And if you take it on the first value, what the user is saying, you might end up solving a problem that does not exist.
Yeah, and spending a lot of time and money and effort in the wrong direction. Yes. Okay. Now, where can people find out more information about Thrift Finance and engage with your community and engage with you yourself?
So you can find more about Thrift through our website, of course, and through our Telegram. We have a Telegram channel, and then a Discord channel available as well, and of course through Twitter. Personally, I'm on LinkedIn as Josiah Odosu, and then I'm also on Twitter as Ray Josiah.
Brilliant. I'll put all the links in the show notes so people can follow you up and learn a little bit more about Thrift Finance. So brilliant. Thank you, Josiah, for joining me on this episode.
Thanks a lot, Peter. I appreciate your time and then making this space available for us. And for what you're doing for the Cardano community, thanks a lot.
If you want to find out more, all the links for you down below in the show notes. You can find it all at learncardano.io. I've compiled a whole list of GitHub repos, repositories, code, and everything that they've been developing over the last few months, so you can have a look and see exactly what they're building. It's pretty interesting to follow and see what they've done. Now, if you enjoyed this content, thumbs up, subscribe, notification bell. Easiest way that you can help support us. You can also become a member on YouTube. There's merchandise down there as well. Cool WAPU stuff. I still have to get mine. It's coming. It's coming very, very soon. And of course, you can also buy a Cardano Press WAPU NFT. Mint is coming very, very soon. Details below in the links as well. You can find more about that at cardanopress.io. Now, that's it for me for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debating.